The Los Angeles Dodgers are still a fabulous team, but they got some big-time holes now. And you go past the first four hitters, massive drop-off.
Well, Bob, Steve, thank you for joining us today. Tons of stuff we want to get into in the world of baseball, so let's dive right in. And we want to start right here in our backyard. The New York Yankees, they've been nothing short of dominant in the first third of the season. But I'm pretty sure if you asked any Bombers fan ahead of the season if they'd be this good, they'd probably hesitate to say so. So, Bob, I know it might be an oxymoron when we talk about the Yankees, but are you surprised at all to see them playing this well, even without Garrett Cole?
I am. When they lost Garrett Cole, you're thinking, hope they make the playoffs. Baltimore's going to sort of run away with it now, and we'll see what happens. But the young pitching has been phenomenal. They couldn't ask for any more from Leo Luis Hill, one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time with what he's doing. And, of course, a great Aaron Judge and Juan Soto combo. So, yeah, this team looks like a juggernaut. I mean, I saw them about a week ago. And they say this is the best clubhouse vibe they've ever had, too.
Yeah. And Steve, sticking with the Yankees, Aaron Judge has just been unreal, had one of the best months of baseball we've ever seen. And for the average fan, could you take us a little deeper into what has made this run for Judge so special and whether you think that he can maintain it or not?
Sure. I think the most impressive thing about Aaron Judge is how he turned things around from a really poor start. In April, he was hitting .207 with a .414 slugging percentage. But then when May comes around, .361 for the month, a .918 slugging percentage, so over 500 points higher, and had the most extra base hits, I believe, in a single month by a Yankee since a guy named Joe DiMaggio. So that's how much he's been dominating things. And certainly you have to give Aaron Judge credit for the turnaround. But I think you need to give Aaron Boone, the manager, just a little bit of an assist, because in the month of April, he had Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo hitting behind Judge, and they weren't really providing any lineup protection. He was getting walked a lot, wasn't seeing a whole lot of good pitches. Once Aaron Boone moved Alex Verdugo into the lineup in that spot behind Judge, then things really started to click. It gave them left-handed hitter in Soto, right-hander in Judge, and a left-handed hitter in Verdugo, who's, able to make opposing pitchers pay for not pitching to Judge. And all of a sudden, Aaron Judge is getting better pitches to hit, and we know that he certainly knows what to do with it when he gets those pitches.
Yeah. Sticking in the AL East, the Orioles continue to take knocks. First, their prize prospect, Jackson Holliday, stumbled in his first stint in the majors, and now they've lost a few rotation guys to injuries, most notably John Means, who's down for the rest of the season. So, Steve, I want to start with you here. Obviously, they're hanging in with the Yankees in the standings, but do you think that all of these issues are going to eventually catch up to them in fighting for that AL East crown?
Well, one thing to remember is the Orioles didn't really know what to expect this season from John Means after having Tommy John surgery in 2022 and making only 4 starts last September. So he was kind of found money if he could pitch well, which he was, but they weren't necessarily counting on him from the start. Dean Kramer was pitching pretty well when he was sidelined by a tricep strain, but that may be only temporary. Thing is, though, those guys were at the back of the rotation behind Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez as the top 3. And the replacements that the Orioles have in that rotation, namely Cole Irvin and Albert Suarez, the journeyman pitcher, 34 years old, they've been both excellent. So the pitching is in pretty decent shape. Then on the other side, the offense has been outstanding. They lead the majors in scoring. They're battling the Yankees for the most home runs in the majors. So the Orioles, I think, certainly are in pretty good shape. Even though the Yankees are playing great ball right now, the Orioles, I think, can hang with them, and we'll see what happens when we get to October.
Yeah. Sticking with the pitching, Bob, obviously the Orioles aren't the only team with injuries. So would you say that this is an anomaly, or does the MLB need to figure out what's really going on here with the pitching injuries?
Well, they're doing all kinds of studies. Unfortunately, it's not an anomaly. It's going on now for years. I think the problem is just these kids, even before they get to Major League Baseball, are being trained right. They're going to places like drive-by and stuff and throwing as hard as they can and blowing their arms out. These kids realize, hey, to be scouted by major league teams or by college teams, throw as hard as you can. If you blow out later, you blow out. So that's why, people worry about, like a Mason Miller from, Oakland, Paul Skees of Pittsburgh, just like, to continue to throw that hard. What baseball wants to do at some point is go to a 12-man pitching staff just to force these pitchers to train right and say, you know what, you got to go 6-7 innings or you're going to, crush your team's chances for a playoff berth.
Teams that do deal with injuries usually look to the trade market. So, Bob, Steve, I'd love for you both to each give me a team you think will be buyers once the deadline approaches, and who do you think they might be after? So, Bob, let's start with you.
Well, you're looking at the big-time contenders. The Los Angeles Dodgers are still a fabulous team, but they got some big-time holes now. And you go past the first 4 hitters, massive drop-off. I think they need another outfielder there. They need some help in that bullpen. We were just talking about the Orioles. They could use another veteran starter. Certainly needed a closer. You hate to trust Kimbrel in the late innings. Then Atlanta, they lost Ronald Acuna. They lost Spencer Strider and Alcantopoulos, one of the most aggressive GMs in the game. I guarantee you'll come back with some type of answer here with another veteran starter and maybe an outfielder too.
Steve, how about you?
Well, Bob certainly hit the high points, but I will say kind of a dark horse this trade season might be the Seattle Mariners. I think it's important for them, while they have an opportunity to win, having never been to the World Series in nearly 50 years of franchise history, they've got one of the best starting rotations in the majors. So they need to fix their offense and have some sort of a jolt. They're ranked 28 out of 30 major league teams in scoring. So what can they do? We know that Jerry Dipoto loves to trade. I think he's going to have to do something with that offense and get it back to where it's at least major league average. So that could be Luis Robert, could be possibly Brent Rooker, and maybe they look to the New York Mets if the Mets turn to a complete sale mode. Pete Alonso's got to be traded somewhere, perhaps. So maybe the Mariners get involved in that.
I like that. Before we wrap up, I want to hop over to the NL for a minute. The Phillies look incredible. Steve, what would you say Dave Dombrowski's done so well in the city of brotherly love to make this a dominant squad?
Well, I think he's kind of just let the Phillies be the Phillies. I mean, the talented team, we've seen them go to the World Series, a couple of years ago, and basically the team, is doing what it has done so well. And they just continue to. I mean, Bryce Harper, a team leader, has been fantastic. They've worked around some injuries. Trey Turner has been out, but Edmundo Sosa has come in and played awfully well. Alec Boehm's having maybe his best season of all. And they've been getting great starting pitching, too, with Ranger Suarez being perhaps the best pitcher in all of the major leagues to start this season. So the Phillies have the talent. That's never been a question. It's just, getting started and building the momentum. They've been able to do it towards the end of the season and towards the playoffs the past few years. But now the process has started a lot sooner, and they're rolling much, much quicker, and they look much more formidable now.
Well, Bob, it's been 15 years since the Yankees beat the Phillies in the World Series. So is it too soon to get excited about that potential rematch?
I think people are already talking about it. I mean, I know among writers and broadcasters talking about it. Be cool just to drive the train back and forth from New York to Philadelphia. 2 juggernauts, 2 teams with massive star power. I mean, if you ask baseball, their wish list obviously is, New York, LA, Yankees, Dodgers, going back to 1981 and all those great years. But if you go Yankees, Phillies, that might be the second most. But I think it'd be a blast of a series. And you're talking about, some of the biggest stars in the world are on these 2 teams.
Hey, sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA TODAY Sports.